So go ahead.
When you are done with your first garter stitch section, you will start your second section. Now, the differences between section 1 and section 2 is on section 1 where you decrease, section 2 you increase. Section 1 where you increase, section 2 you decrease. That's what gives you the zigzag shape to it. Another difference is the rows that you E-wrap on section 1, you still E-wrap on section 2, but we are switching out the purl stitch for the flat stitch or a U-stitch, which I will show you both of those in just a moment. They're extremely similar. The only reason I'm not doing the whole thing in the E-wrap is just because the E-wrap is a bigger stitch than the purl stitch. So I had to switch to a comparable stitch so that this section wouldn't be this wide while this section was only that wide. Which, as you can see, I have worked quite a ways ahead. I just wanted to be able to give you that visual. Makes explaining it a lot easier. So let's zoom in and see what we have going on here. So I'm done with my garter stitch section. The stitch that was originally here was decreased all the way down to here. The stitch that was originally here was increased all the way to here. So now we've got to get this stitch back to here and this stitch back over here. Now instead of, this one is a little different. With the garter stitch one, you do your increase and decrease, on the same row. With this one, you will do your increase, finish the row, and then do your decrease. As you can see, I had finished the row and I E-wrapped back to peg 1. I hadn't knitted them off yet. You just go through and knit all them off. I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to do a few here just to show you how to do this next part. Okay, so before you start the row, you take this last stitch off the peg, move it over. That is your increase. Now you will pull it tight. You don't want to pull it too tight, but you'll pull it tight, wrap the yarn around the front, behind your empty peg, over the next. Now a flat stitch is like this. You can do a flat stitch if you want, or if you're more comfortable, you can do a U-stitch. There's really not a huge difference. A U-stitch is, instead of just holding it over, you kind of wrap it behind. It makes it a slightly larger stitch. Either way, pick the one you like, work to the end of the row. I flat stitch all the way to the last peg. Now before we E-wrap, we will go ahead and move the stitch from the last peg over, kind of tighten it up, again not too tight. And then that second peg we will move over. So 2 stitches empty, 2 stitches. The rest have 1. Then you just push them down, E-wrap the row, and you just keep doing that step 1 and step 2 until after you finish section